Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. Hi, and welcome back for another Homemade Chatty Tuesday. I'm just going to let you know that I have got my son streaming in the room next door to me. If you can hear random yelling in my house, that is what it is. I just want to say welcome to my channel. Thank you for being with me here today to come and listen to me, have a chat to a camera. You know, I never used to think that I was a perfectionist. I'm not somebody who is overly driven. I'm not somebody who is overly goal orientated. I'm not an overly competitive person, and so it would be very easy for me to lull myself into a false sense of security about me being a perfectionist at all. But actually I am. And I know that I am because of the pressure that I put on myself to be and to do. I just want to read you a quote by one of my favorite authors, Brene Brown.
Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Choosing authenticity means cultivating the courage to be imperfect, to set boundaries and to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, exercising the compassion that comes from knowing that we are all made of strength and struggle, and nurturing the connection and sense of belonging that can only happen when we believe that we are enough. Authenticity demands wholehearted living and loving, even when it's hard. Even when we're wrestling with the shame and fear of not being good enough, and especially when the joy is so intense that we're afraid to let ourselves feel it. Mindfully practicing authenticity during our most soul-searching struggles is how we invite grace, joy, and gratitude into our lives.
Oh, so what made me think of that today? Oh gosh, a couple of things. On a Tuesday morning, we go to a coding club. It is supposed to be a family learning experience. Parents go with their kids and learn this together. It has been one of the hardest things I have ever had to do in my home education, hand-holding, facilitating role. I am not a coder in any sense of the word. Like, this is a totally new thing for me. I am not somebody who naturally picks up that kind of thing. There are things that I do naturally pick up, but that is not one of them. In the same way that I find languages really difficult, actually. So I wonder if there's some kind of correlation with something that goes on in my brain between languages and coding, in that I see it as a language and so therefore I struggle. So this morning we were at coding and it took every ounce of my being to not chuck a tantrum and walk out of there. Every ounce of my being. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. I'm assuming other people feel like that, and that I couldn't just be alone in those feelings of when we are so challenged with something new and the frustration of other things happening that intensify that experience, that it can take, as an adult, like real willpower to stay the journey. And that is how I felt this morning. I was coding a game that I know very little about, using a program that I'm struggling to learn, parenting a child in a class where he's not terribly engaged because he doesn't understand it. However, you know, he then went on to do something really good, which actually helped our game. So yay for him. And then I had the frustration of technology failure as well. 3 times my computer crashed, 3 times I got different computers and rebooted them, and 3 times it needed to do Windows updates as I rebooted it. On top of my own sense of failure and struggle, I also had technology kind of failure and struggle, which just intensified everything. And it's at moments like that that I realize that I'm a perfectionist. Because the struggle that I feel is so wrapped up in my own need to do it right, in my own need to look like I know what I'm doing, and in my own need to not feel uncomfortable. I don't like that feeling of not being able to do something. These are the moments that remind me that I am a perfectionist. I also had some other things today that I really struggled with. I signed up to some groups and I made some commitments to participate in some things, and I was late getting them done. There were Facebook groups, and you know, like I don't like failing things. I don't like missing deadlines. I don't like signing up for things and then not being able to commit to them. That is not in my nature at all. But I was just overcommitted today, both in my personal life and in what I said I would do. And like it created horrible, shameful guilt and feeling within me. And these are the feelings that I know point to the fact that I'm a perfectionist. What's an important thing to take away from these feelings? Well, on the home ed side of things, an important lesson for me to remember at times like this is that there are times my kid feels that too. That all those feelings that I have at not being able to do things straight away, those feelings that I have at sitting there and not knowing what to do and dealing with the frustration of technology, they are things that kids feel as well. And so if an adult I'm feeling those things, I need to really up my empathy when it comes to kids, and that sometimes behavior might be because they are feeling all kinds of things that I can relate to if I'm honest with myself. Another purpose to take away is I am going to make mistakes. Like I am going to get things wrong, and I am going to let people down, and that is just life. And I can say I'm sorry, and I can apologize, and I can be genuine about that. But at the end of the day, that is it. Like we make mistakes, we do things wrong. And it has been a really big thing for me to give myself permission to be that person. Brene Brown talks about writing permission slips, and that is one that I have had to write myself. Maria, you have permission to fail. Maria, you have permission to stuff up. Maria, you have permission to get it wrong, because I don't allow myself that grace very often. I'm pretty tough on myself, both mentally and emotionally, in terms of holding myself accountable for those mistakes. And it's those feelings of like, I know that I'm tough on myself, and I know that I am my worst driver, you know, like I am that person. If I would make a great self-flagellating monk or nun. Probably not a monk. Because I know that, you know, I do that to myself. If I'm going to maintain mental health, and if I'm going to maintain being a healthy person, I need to stop doing that. And I need to write myself those permission notes that it is okay, that you are going to have those moments where you just totally stuff up, you're going to get it wrong, and you're going to let people down. And that does not make you a bad, horrible, terrible person. It just makes you human. Say you're sorry, be authentic, be truthful, and move on. And remember those feelings when kids stuff up as well, or my husband stuffs up, or when other people in my life stuff up, and know that we all get it wrong sometimes, and we just make mistakes, and people do let us down, and to remember to be empathetic in those moments. The third purpose to take away from how I feel at those times is when I try to numb those feelings and not allow myself to feel them and work through them, then I numb joy as well. There is no ability within the human body, the human mind, to numb one lot of feelings and thoughts without numbing the rest. If you are numbing your negative thoughts, then you are numbing your positive thoughts as well. And so if we are going to be healthy, whole human beings, we need to allow ourselves to feel all of those things, even when they feel like crap and we feel uncomfortable. I was really proud of myself that I managed to not chuck a tantrum and walk out of that class. I was really proud of myself that I was able to walk away from that class and not tear strips off my child, which is something that I can sometimes do if I feel uncomfortable and I feel frustrated. I can take it out on somebody around me. So it was good to not do that. It was good that later in the day, when I found out that I'd done something else wrong and let down another group of people and failed on a commitment, that all I can do is say I'm sorry and fulfill that commitment, even if it's late, and move on. That's all I can do. I don't know about you. I would love to hear your stories of journeying through perfectionism. I'd like to know if you can relate to any of those feelings. I'd like to know that I'm not alone. You know, sometimes parenthood can leave you feeling very alone. I think that when we start to tell our stories, we find out that we're a lot more similar than we think we are. I have been Maria. This has been another Chatty Tuesday, and I'll catch you on Thursday. Bye.